Focal TV, bringing you innovation to broadcasting, news, views, comments, and analysis of issues happening in Liberia and the rest of the world. Focal TV, with check and balance, we break it as it unfolds. Focal TV, bringing you face to face with newsmakers in town. Focal TV, the best online platform in broadcasting. Focal TV, located at Topo Village, Somalia Drive, Liberia. Be the part and experience the best in online broadcasting. Keep focal.
Afternoon and welcome to Foca News Summary, bringing you the top stories, sharp and straight to the point. I'm Precelia George, and here's what's making headlines right now across Liberia and around the world. President Bouaka inaugurates ArcelorMittal's US $1.4 billion new contractor plant in Tokade, Nima County later today. Turkish delegation arrives in Monrovia to probe RIA's aviation capacity. Government celebrates country's UN Security Council victory, says it will continue championing Liberia's interest. And away from home, US President Donald Trump issues visa ban on 6 African nations, citing national security concerns. These and many more are all packaged. We are taking a short break, and upon our return, we'll bring you our news bulletin. Welcome. President Joseph Boakai will today inaugurate ArcelorMittal's new US $1.4 billion contractor plant in Tokade, Nima County. This significant development is expected to provide over 6,000 jobs for local residents and bolster Liberia's mining sector. The plan represents a major investment in the country's economy, demonstrating confidence in Liberia's mineral resources and the potential for growth within the industry. The inauguration marks a pivotal moment for both ArcelorMittal and Liberia, as the new facility aims to enhance the efficiency of iron ore production in the region. With the creation of thousands of jobs, local communities are anticipated to benefit not only from employment but also from the economic stimulation that comes with such a large-scale project. President Bouaga's visit underscores the government's commitment to fostering investment and driving economic development in Liberia. A Turkish delegation has arrived in Liberia to investigate circumstances surrounding President Bouaka's private jet near crash situation at the Rabat International Airport. The move follows diplomatic engagement with Foreign Minister Sarah Soloyanti with the government of that country. Minister Soloyanti was seeking partnership in an effort to modernize the nation's only airport. The assessment, which runs from June 10 to 13, is aimed at identifying RIA's operational capacity and urgent infrastructure needs. Leading the team of investigators, Mr. Atan Tiken said the delegation's presence demonstrates Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's commitment to draw heavily on Liberia's aviation sector. President Joseph Boakai has held Liberia's election as non-permanent member on the United Nations Security Council as a new chapter in Liberia's global engagement and a tribute to the resilience and global vision of the Liberian people. President Bouaga expressed a deep gratitude to the United Nations member states for their confidence in Liberia and paid homage to Liberia's historic legacy from being Africa's first independent republic to a founding member of the United Nations. He also recognized the contributions of national icons, including Ambassador Angie Brooks Randolph and President William Tobert, whose leadership helped define Liberia's international identity, highlighting Liberia's journey from civil conflict to democratic stability. President Bouaka emphasized that the UNSC election validates the country's commitment to peace, reconciliation, and international cooperation. President Bouaka pledged that Liberia will be a principled and dependable voice on the Council, advocating for the interests of Africa, the Global South, and marginalized communities around the world. Key priorities for Liberia's tenure will include conflict prevention and peace building, protection of civilians, especially women and children, peacekeeping reform addressing climate related insecurity, inclusive diplomacy rooted in Liberia's values of freedom and humanity. The president extended his appreciation to Liberia's foreign minister, Sarah Basolo Yanti, the nation's permanent mission to the UN, and campaign teams in New York, Monrovia, and Addis Ababa for their strategic coordination and diplomacy throughout the election process. In a show of inclusivity and national unity, President Bouaga announced plans to hold consultations with youth and women across Liberia to shape the nation's priorities on the council. This marks the first time in more than 6 decades that Liberia will serve on the Security Council. If you are just joining us, welcome to Foca News Summary. I'm Precelia George, and here is a quick look at our top stories so far. President Bouaga inaugurates Asalameta's US $1.4 billion new concert tractor plant in Toka Nima County later today. Turkish delegation arrives in Monrovia to prop RIA's aviation capacity. Government celebrates country's UN Security Council victory, says it will continue championing Liberia's interest, and away from home, US President Donald Trump issues visa ban on 6 African nations, citing national security concerns. We take a short break. Upon our return, we continue with our news bulletin.
The new 89.5 FM. Forecast.
Welcome back. The U.S. Embassy near Monrovia has extended heartfelt congratulations to the government and people of Liberia on their election to a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for the 2026-2027 term. The embassy in a statement said that the move is a significant achievement which reflects Liberia's enduring commitment to international peace and security. It also showed the country's active participation in multilateral diplomacy. According to a release, the U.S. recognizes Liberia's election, adding that is a testament to its progress in democratic governance and its leadership role within the West African region. The release says the United States looks forward to collaborating closely with Liberia during its tenure on the Security Council. Executive Executives of the Opposition Congress for Democratic Change have credited former President George Weah for the election of Liberia on the UN Security Council shortly after Liberia's victory at the UN Non-Permanent Security Council on Tuesday. Executives of CDC asserted that the landmark achievement was the result of groundwork laid during former President George Manuel Weah's administration, not the outcome of any recent efforts by the current government. Former Monrovia mayor and prominent CDC stalwart Jefferson T. Kochi pointed to President Weah's 2023 State of the Nation address, where the then president detailed Liberia's foreign policy roadmap and ongoing efforts to strengthen the country's global partnerships. Kochi criticized the current administration for allegedly spending 3.8 million in just 2 months on diplomatic lobbying for a seat that, according to him, had already been secured. Joining Koji, CDC executive and Montserrado County former District Number 8 representative Akaras Gray described the achievement as a testament to President Weah's patriotism and statesmanship. The Weah administration, which left office in early 2024, said they prioritized increased international engagement and regional cooperation. Supporters argue that this approach laid the foundation for Liberia's successful bid for the UNSC seat, only the second time the country has held such a position since 1961. In contrast, critics of the CDC suggest the current government's recent diplomatic blacks and substantial lobbying efforts were instrumental in clinching the final votes, particularly from undecided nations. However, Kochi rejected those claims, re- calling them revisionist and desperate. He maintained the truth like the North Star doesn't move. It shines steady and unshaken. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has yet to respond to the CDC's statement. Liberia Liberia has been elected as a non-permanent member on the United Nations Security Council, marking a historic return after more than 6 decades. The vote took place Tuesday at the United Nations headquarters in New York, with member states selecting 5 countries for the council. Liberia was one of 2 African nations endorsed by the African Union following months of extensive diplomatic outreach and high-level lobbying across multiple continents. This marks Liberia's first time on the council since 1961, signaling renewed international confidence in the country's leadership, peace-building efforts, and commitment to global cooperation. The government of Liberia has announced plans to revive investigations into a series of mysterious deaths that occurred during the administration of the Coalition for Democratic Change, signaling a renewed push for justice and accountability. According to a release, the government has also initiated dialogue with the United States to assist in providing critical information and cooperation in the persecution of former officials who are currently under U.S. sanctions. The move comes amid growing public demand for answers surrounding several high profile deaths that remain unresolved, as well as pressure to address corruption and impunity that allegedly marred the previous administration. Justice Minister Uswatwe said that while the investigations will be conducted by Liberian authorities, assistance from Washington will be essential in assessing financial and communication records tied to individuals already flagged by the U.S. Treasury Department for corruption. Among the deaths being re-examined are those of prominent auditors and civil servants, which sparked public outrage and suspicion but yielded few results during earlier probes. Critics had accused the CDC-led government of undermining investigations and shielding powerful figures from scrutiny. The renewed investigations are expected to involve international cooperation, forensic reanalysis, and the possible reopening of court cases. Officials said details on specific cases and timelines will be announced in the coming weeks. The U.S. Embassy in Monrovia has not publicly commented on the discussions but has previously expressed support for Liberia's efforts to combat corruption and strengthen the rule of law. This, this development marks a potential transformative chapter in Liberia's post-war governance, with the current administration positioning itself as a reformist government determined to restore public trust and ensure accountability. Executive Environmental Protection Agency Director Dr. Emmanuel Ure Dagbawolo has called for stronger regional cooperation to safeguard West Africa's shared river systems. Speaking at the Mano River UN briefing in Singapore recently, Dr. Ure Dagbawolo underscored the urgent need for collaborative action among MRU member states Liberia. He cited real-world examples to illustrate the pressing nature of the challenges. The EPA bus recorded a 2024 incident in which the Kavala River shared by Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire was contaminated by mining operations, yet Liberian authorities only became aware of the pollution a month later. The EPA executive director added that illegal dredging continues along the Kavala with limited enforcement due to jurisdictional and logistical constraints on both sides of the border. He noted that Liberia has made freshwater protection a central pillar of its national determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, but emphasized that national efforts alone are insufficient. And President President Donald Trump signed a new executive order Wednesday night banning citizens from 12 countries from entering the United States effective June 9, 2025. The full travel ban applies to Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo Brazzaville, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen, citing national security concerns. Focal News Summary. I am Priscilla George. Good afternoon.
Focal TV. Bringing you innovation to broadcasting, news, views, comments, and analysis of issues happening in Liberia and the rest of the world. Focal TV, with check and balance, we bring it as it unfolds. Focal TV, bringing you face to face with newsmakers in town. Focal TV, the best online platform in broadcasting. Focal TV, located at Topo Village, Somalia Drive, Liberia. Be the part and experience the best in online broadcasting. Keep focal. Focal.